Imagine going to war, not with guns or missiles, but with angry hornets, poop-covered arrows, and a sword that acts like a whip. Yep. History is absolutely unhinged. These aren't myths or fantasy weapons from some game, these were real, brutal, and used to kill. So, sharpen your imagination and grab your armor, because here are 7 insane ancient weapons that actually existed, and number 1. It's straight up nightmare fuel. Let's dive in, starting with something that could literally snatch ships out of the sea. Part 7, Greek Fire, the weapon that burned water. You're on a wooden ship in the Mediterranean. Suddenly, the sea around you explodes into flames. You jump into the water, but the fire follows you. You're not dreaming. You're facing the terror of Greek fire. Invented by the Byzantine Empire in the 7th century, this wasn't just fire, it was hell in a bottle. Greek fire could burn on water, stick to flesh, and couldn't be put out by anything, not even sand or water. The exact recipe was so secret, it was lost to history. But we know it was shot from tubes, siphoned from bronze nozzles like ancient flamethrowers, or launched in clay grenades. Imagine you're a sailor, your ship starts melting around you, and even the ocean can't save you. Panic spreads, morale shatters. Some historians even say Greek fire turned entire battles in favor of the Byzantines. And the worst part? Over 1,000 years later, no one has been able to recreate it. A forgotten weapon so terrifying, it turned water into a death trap, and then disappeared like it never existed. Part 6, The Claw of Archimedes, the OG ship smasher. Imagine sailing up to a city, ready to invade, and suddenly your ship gets yoinked out of the water by a giant claw like you're a prize in a rigged arcade machine. That's exactly what happened to Roman ships in 214 BC, thanks to one man, Archimedes. The brilliant Greek inventor was living in the city of Syracuse when the Romans came knocking. And instead of running, he went full mad scientist. He designed a colossal crane with a claw that could lift enemy ships out of the sea and flip them like pancakes. Roman sailors were tossed into the water, their ships smashed like toys. But it didn't stop there. Archimedes supposedly built a solar death ray using mirrors to burn ships with sunlight. Sci-fi in ancient times. The Romans were so desperate to stop his madness, they ordered he be captured alive. But when soldiers found an old man yelling at them for stepping on his drawings, they stabbed him on the spot. Yep. That old man was Archimedes. And Rome just killed its best chance at winning the ancient arms race. Part 5, War Kites and Human Bombs, China's Silent Strike. Night falls. You're asleep in a military fort, when suddenly, the sky explodes. No warning. Just fire raining down like hell. That was ancient China's version of an air raid. Meet the Tianbingzhan, a massive 9-foot war kite packed with 100 rocket arrows and actual bombs. This wasn't a prank, it was an early prototype of aerial warfare. Chinese soldiers would light a slow fuse, fly the kite silently into enemy territory under the cover of night, and let gravity and gunpowder do the rest. Oh, and it gets darker. There was another version, the Tian Lei Pao, where a death row convict was tied to the kite. His job? Manually fire rockets while crash diving into enemy lines. A literal human bomb. These were the ancestors of modern drone strikes, built with wood, straw, and pure chaos. And while most people were still figuring out how to sharpen spears, China was launching flying death machines. Part 4, Urumi, the sword that whips. What do you get when you cross a sword with a whip? A weapon that's somehow more terrifying than both. Enter the Urumi, South India's most chaotic invention. This flexible blade looked like a ribbon of death. It wasn't meant for clean strikes, it was for spinning through the air, wrapping around shields, slicing arms, legs, and whatever else got in its way. Some versions had up to 32 blades. That's not a weapon. That's a blender. The Urumi was so dangerous, it was the last weapon warriors were trained to use. Why? Because it was just as likely to slice your enemy, as it was to slice you. One wrong move, and your legs were sushi. But in the hands of a master, it turned the battlefield into a scene straight out of a martial arts fantasy, spinning steel, flying sparks, and terrified opponents. The Urumi wasn't just a weapon. It was a statement: I'm not just here to win. I'm here to terrify you while doing it. Part 3, Wolf Brush, the giant bamboo death stick. Now, imagine defending your home from pirates, with a bamboo stick. Sounds ridiculous, right? Unless it's a 16-foot poisoned wolf brush wielded by a warrior who knows exactly what he's doing. In 16th century China, pirates were storming the coast with huge swords that could split wood like butter. Regular spears weren't cutting it. So military genius Qi Jiguang invented a new nightmare, the wolf brush. It was a bamboo spear with sharp branches intentionally left on, each one dipped in poison. Soldiers would stand in formation, thrusting this tree-sized weapon at charging enemies. One prick from a branch, and the enemy was down for the count. No sword clash needed. And it didn't even require training, you basically poked enemies until they dropped. It looked absurd, like a guy attacking with a plant. But it worked so well, they later swapped the bamboo for iron. Imagine being chased by a guy swinging a metal tree at your face. That's how China won battles, with poison and creativity. Part 2, Goo, the Lego of Death. You think stepping on a Lego hurts? Imagine stepping on one that's been soaked in human feces and snake venom. That's the Goo, an ancient Chinese caltrip designed not just to injure, but to infect. These tiny spiked traps were slow-cooked in a disgusting blend of poop and poison, then stored carefully in bamboo containers to keep the handlers from getting sick themselves. Soldiers would scatter them on the battlefield or on enemy ships. One wrong step, and you weren't just limping, you were slowly dying from infection. No antibiotics. No hospital. Just you, your foot, and the worst bacteria nature has to offer. It was like medieval biological warfare, handmade and incredibly effective. Some reports even claim they were launched at ships to cripple sailors right on deck. Death by foot splinter. That's how petty ancient warfare got. Part 1, Poop, the most disgusting weapon in history. You're in a medieval siege. The walls are high. The enemy is strong. You need something truly horrifying to break them. You load your catapult. Not with stones. Not with fire. With poop. Yes, human feces. Possibly infected. Possibly mixed with blood and animal guts. Ancient armies across Europe and Asia used poop as a bioweapon. Arrows were smeared with it. Barrels of it were hurled over castle walls. It was disgusting, and it worked. The Scythians coated arrows in poop and snake venom. The Chinese flung dung bombs during sieges. And during the Black Plague, corpses filled with disease were launched into towns like they were party favors. Even in Vietnam, punji traps were dipped in human waste to ensure infections. Forget swords. The real killer was bacteria. And the ancient world didn't just know that, they weaponized it.